This situation with Trey Hendrickson, guys, is getting absolutely wild. All right, so starting off right away, he's on Pat McAfee's show right now. And let me summarize this before we get into this. First off, he says there hasn't been much communication between the Bengals and his side at all. He wants more communication. He wants to get involved. There hasn't been any communication. He's very upset with Katie Blackburn and her statements yesterday that we covered earlier today. He does not feel like it's his call to make to get the contract done. He wants to get the contract done, but it's not getting done. Let's just play this audio. One sec.
Great player. We're happy to have him. And so maybe we'll find a way to get something to work. We're just going to see where it goes. And then I think she reiterated a fact about, I don't know what's going to happen here. We didn't think they were going to be able to get the T. Higgins and Jamar Chase deals done. Obviously, your deal is being lumped in there because you're a defensive end, you're the sack king, and you are due money as well. So whenever you hear that from the ownership, what do you think immediately? Did you know that she said that? And what is currently happening at this time with you as a Cincinnati Bengal, Trey?
Well, first off, yesterday was April Fool's, so I was traded to all 31 teams and had like 100 different contracts. So the one thing I was hoping that was an April Fool's joke was that article, but called my agent, found out it was not, and that was a little disappointing because communication has been poor over the last couple of months. That's something that I hold in high regard. They have not communicated with my agent directly. It's been something that's been a little bit frustrating, but again, this is the business of it. I'm incredibly blessed to be in the NFL. And I'm excited to be a Bengal, right? To have a year, right, that I have, remaining on my contract. We can get into that real quick. Last year,
I want to stop that real fast just to say this is kind of what I said earlier in my video, and I think it's very true. How the Bengals are looking at this is they are making him offers, but when they make him an offer, it's a final offer. Like, this isn't like, oh, we made you an offer and now let's go back and forth. No. The Bengals are kind of like, hey, listen, this is our number. This is what we want to pay you. He says no. They don't come back with another offer. And then a couple months down the line, they might give him another offer. So it's not like a negotiation back and forth. And this is exactly what I thought was happening, that's why there's no communication. Because the Bengals, and you've listened to what Katie Blackburn said, it's pretty much exactly that. We gave him a number. We gave him an offer. Now he has to find a way to be happy with that number. They're not going back and forth. They say, you're worth X. We're giving you X. And he says, no, I want this number. And they say, we don't care what you want. We're going to give you what we want to give you. So this is exactly what I thought was happening is exactly what happening, it seems like.
Year and the year before, I've been talking about long-term contract, guaranteed money, things like that. And it was discussed with me in a meeting, which I'm very fortunate to have had with my agent, that we would get something done this year. So that being said, last year, go out and play to the level you have, we'll get it done. That was communicated with me. So that basically, this year is going to get worked on.
Which low-key has to, because it's the last year of his contract. So, like, if it doesn't get worked on right now, the only other time would be next offseason, because the Bengals do not negotiate contracts during the season. So it would be next, January to March? Yeah, I has to kind of get done now if you're going to get a contract done now. I don't think the Bengals will. I still will stand on my stance. I think that they're going to wait, franchise tag him 3 times, see if he gets injured, and then maybe a contract in 3 years. That's how I think they're going to go about this.
They also reiterated that at the Combine. So that just kind of clears the air on that. And moving forward, the happiness of my camp, they are more than welcome to call me. I've had my cell phone, same cell phone number since high school. Open line of communication is always open with me and my agents. So if they have anything they'd like to discuss, we've been nothing but willing to listen.
Okay, so you hit on a lot there, and thank you for doing that. Obviously, sounds like you love the Bengals, just like you reiterated at Radio Row. Now, what you said there has been not a lot of communication. What do you mean by that? Because I think a lot of us would assume after the T and Jamar deal get done, and then they're saying they're hoping for a clean sweep with Trey Hendrickson, I believe was reported by multiple insiders. We assumed that I was moving to you to get your deal done. When was the last time? Are you guys currently in the middle of negotiation or conversation, or how does it stand in that particular aspect?
Well, I mean, whenever we have something to resolve in my family, my wife and I, we discuss it and we get to a point where we know we're reaching a decision, and I've been open and transparent about however it looks for me in Cincinnati or not. I want the Bengals to benefit from that. And through this process, communication, when I say it's been poor, it's been like here and there, and respect to Jamar and T. I don't want to take anything away from all the great things they've accomplished in their careers. They deserve everything that they've gotten. And no doubt in my mind, they're going to excel in the National Football League. I have a tremendous respect for both of them. But when it comes to my situation, it would have been nice to know, in some ways, like, hey, we're going to put you in the queue. No problem with me. My wife and I try to be as humble as possible as Christ-loving people. So we don't have any desires of being highest paid or first in line. We try to be as patient as possible. But when you have things like OTAs coming, and guys like Sam Hubbard, who's a tremendous captain for our team last year, that leaves a vacancy for that. And I'm excited to fill that. But how do we reach that before we get there? And
okay, that's a lot to take away. First off, he said about his wife comment about how, him and his wife, when they have any type of thing they want to get done, they come together and talk. So he's pretty much saying, in all nutshell, the Bengals aren't answering his calls. They're not in any way trying to go after him. Like, they're not trying to sign him. They're not trying to extend him. And obviously, the Jamar Chase situation and T. Higgins contract, I'm guessing what he's saying there is he was out of the loop. He wasn't told about what was happening. And obviously, that does go down to a lot of different players throughout history have said the same thing. Not about the Bengals, but in general, ironically enough, Jonah Williams for the Bengals said that, when we went out there and, moved him to right tackle, nobody told him. He found out on Twitter. And he was actually very upset with that because he said he thought, they should tell him what's happening. And that's not really how the Bengals do business. We don't really tell the players before. You find out on Twitter, you find out separately. You don't find out from, the Bengals. That's just not how it works. Now, obviously, again, yes, this is a situation where you're paying the top two guys and then you have now Trey. But at the end of the day, these are separate situations. These are completely separate. Now, Trey, if you would like to go ahead and go over to Roxy, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins' agent now, we could get this contract done tomorrow. But, across the board, this situation is so freaking crazy. But, again, it's exactly what I think is happening, which is insane. They are offering him a contract. He comes back and says no. They say, okay. And then that's it. Conversation's over. We gave you an offer. We gave you what we want to give you, and you don't want it. We're not going to sit here and go back and forth because we don't want to. And that's exactly what's happening here. So, oh, man.
Those are the things that matter when you're talking about a Super Bowl. It's in the little things and the little details. So.
Okay, so on that note, D-Bud has a question for you.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I'm coming from an incredibly biased standpoint as a former Colt and a Colts fan that, I'm sure 31 other teams feel the same way. We want you to get your money, be happy, and be respected. So figure it out. Obviously, you say you're happy to be a Bengal. But with that in mind, you talked about OTAs, minicamp, training camp. We know you're a football player first and foremost, a professional one at that. Do you have a deadline in mind where you want this to be done with, either with the Bengals or where you reach a point where you say, okay, it's June 1st or whatever, let's get a trade figured out? Do you have a deadline in mind?
Whoa. That's a great question. I think 3 years ago, I began to ask for a long-term contract with guaranteed money. So those deadlines have kind of just all been a blur. I've just been hunting quarterbacks. So at this point, it is what it is. I don't know if I can put a timestamp on it, and that's where to read what I read yesterday was confusing. Like it's my decision. I would have been willing to sign 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and this year. It was communicated with me that we would get something done this year.
I do have to put this in here because it's very important. Keep in mind, we did give him a contract extension, a year and a half ago, that him and his agent agreed to for this 2-year deal. I really think the situation should have been that they should have fought harder to get a more job security, more guaranteed money, and a longer contract then. And now, obviously, 8 months after that contract, he wants a new deal. This is why the situation is also really shaky, is because, and that's why he says 2 years and then this year, because he skips last year, because he did sign a new deal last year. And that's why, again, I think the Bengals are also stubborn on this. It's like, we did just give you a new deal. Now you want another one. Like, yeah. It is a tricky situation across the board, I'll say.
And also, like, it reiterated with Duke's comments at the combine. So I kind of treat it like a house now. So, like, house values have gone up. It's the cost of living, and and in some ways, life continues to go forward. And I know I'm a football player. I'm training.
That right there means he's not taking a team-friendly deal. That statement right there means I'm not taking a team-friendly deal. I want to get paid big boy money. That's the issue. T took less money to stay with the Bengals. T took less money to stay with the Bengals. And that right there is the issue. Saying that the cost of living going up, houses going up, it means I want the more money. I want to get paid what I'm deserved. And again, he does deserve to get paid, don't get me wrong. But that is completely cut and paste any chance of a team-friendly deal. So now what we thought where he only really cared about job security and staying in Cincinnati, it's now not about that. It's now actually about money. That's what this is about now. So this is not I want to stay in Cincy for the rest of my career and know I can stay in Cincy with my family. This is now I want to get paid, which again, every player wants to get paid. T wanted to get paid, but T took less money because he wanted to stay in Cincy. That's why T stayed in Cincy, because he wanted to play with Joe Burrow, because he took the Joe Burrow tax so he could stay in Cincy. Mike Gesicki took less money because he wanted to stay in Cincy. He took the Joe Burrow tax.
And to be the best Trey Hendrickson I can be, and however that looks, and whatever team, we can address that.
Ripping lips in the morning, doing big time.
Whichever team. So he's now at this point where it's I want to get paid the most money, and whoever will pay me the most money, I want to go there. To say whatever team, man, come on, Trey. Come on, man. That's disappointing to hear. But again, like I said, he is also pissed off because Katie Blackburn put out that statement. And as he said, he wished it was an April Fool's joke. And it isn't, but he's pissed off about it because he doesn't feel like that is correct. And based on what he says, based on his story, that they are not communicating with him, they're not trying to work with him, that would mean Katie's statement is a lie. It would mean it's a lie. Because she's saying the ball's in his court, But reality-wise, it's not really a lie, because if what I said is true, where she is just offering him one contract and saying that's what we want, and then walking away, it's not a lie. But if she's kind of alluding to them actually working with him, then that's a lie. Oh man.
Time dips in the afternoon. We're hunting quarterbacks.
Hell yeah.
Around here. We're Trey Hendrickson, and we assumed that, especially after reading that comment from her and then listening to what Duke said at the Combine and then listening to you at Radio Row, it's like, okay, this deal is going to get done. It feels like this deal is going to get done, especially with Darius's point where he said, I'm incredibly biased. Like, we at the Colts here, especially with Lou Anarumo, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, now defense coordinator, it's like immediately, yeah, we need a guy that would be able to. There's a lot of teams that feel that way. I assume the Bengals understand that, so you would think they'd want to get a deal done. Let's hope, communication starts. It's either here or let's go ahead and profit off of how great Trey Hendrickson is. Now, Connor has a question for you, Trey.
Yeah, Trey, New England's another one of those teams. But when Katie Blackburn says, he should be happy at, certain rates, does she mean like a specific rate that they have kind of communicated to you about a possible extension? Or is she talking about the current deal that you are on right now? Like, what do you think she meant when she said, he should be happy at certain rates and some of it, is on you?
Well, full transparency, I'm not going to go into all the details, but there are things that I'm willing to do and willing not to budge on. I don't think I want to play for incentives that will be out of my control. I don't think I want to play for a short-term contract and see where it goes. I would like to tell my wife, here's where we're going to live. Here's where we're going to build a family together. And some of those things come from, what I've been able to do on the football field. I like that to do the talking for me. I stay out of it with all the trade stuff. I stay out of it with all the contract stuff. And really,
hold up, that's very important what he just said. He just said, I don't like the incentives because I don't like to have something that I can't control and the money I can't control. So he wants a set amount of money that he knows. So what he doesn't want, it looks like, is he doesn't want 23 million with incentives based up to 30 million if you get a certain amount of sacks, tackles, plays like that. And the reason why he doesn't want that is because of injury. So if he gets hurt, then he's screwed out of luck pretty much, right? So maybe they're like, hey, listen, if you do all this and you're on the roster as of this date and this time, he doesn't want that. So it seems like, again, he just wants it guaranteed and to know you're making 36. The Bengals are not going to do that. So he doesn't want an incentive-based contract. That is interesting.
These things that get me to do these things, I would prefer not to address these things with the media. But again, if I'm hearing from X or Twitter or whatever it's called, on details on my contract that aren't privy to me or happiness that I'm not feeling under certain situations, it's, you can say respect, but, respect is something that, I have for Zach Taylor, and I take that approach every day, being on time, communicating with him, and telling him that yes, sir, I'm going to do the right things and all those things. And there's a mutual respect. Just to say the word respect, and then actions are speaking a lot louder in a different direction. It's disappointing.
Okay, so key tip there. That's so crazy, honestly. So, obviously, he's saying the Bengals aren't respecting him. They're leaking contract information on Twitter about his contract. And 3, he only mentions Zach Taylor when he says who he respects. That's a shot at Duke and Katie Blackburn and pretty much everyone. Now, Al Golden, I don't think it's a shot at because he's new. But that's a shot at everyone in the organization outside of Zach, man. That's crazy. But yeah, he's saying they're disrespecting him. I mean, you know what? Maybe no. I'm gonna take that. I'm taking back that statement. I don't think he was saying that he doesn't respect any of them. I'm taking back that statement. Actually, what he was saying, and this is what I'm realizing that was overreaction there. Realizing what he's saying is he's giving mutual respect and he's getting mutual respect. And he's just using Zach as an example. Let me not say he doesn't respect the other people, because that's not true. I don't believe that's not true. That was just an overreaction there. I reacted way too quick on that one, and that's not 100% true. I think he's just using that example. Like, you give respect and you get respect, and it's not just about saying you respect someone. You have to show it with your actions. So I think he was just showing Zach Taylor as an example. Unless I'm completely wrong and I was right, to begin with, but I don't think I was. I think he's just saying that he doesn't not respect anybody.
So, as you know, as somebody who has been in the NFL a long time, Haslam turned down a meeting with Myles Garrett like 3 weeks ago, and then they gave him $40 million. And, you know, Danielle Hunter gets a deal done, and TJ Watt and Micah and you are all on the board. So it feels like that's an easy deal to kind of get done. And if I were you, as the Sack King, looking around at these other deals that are taking place, multiple years left on contracts, I don't even know if these guys have been promised, like, hey, we'll take care of it next offseason. Like you were saying, you were sitting in a meeting and were promised. Feels like an easy deal to get done. And you saying, I would like to have, you know, not an incentive-based contract that is out of my control. Like, those are team-based deals or whatever the case is. Like, who knows what's going to happen there? You've earned the right to have that. And also to be able to tell your wife, like, hey, we're going to be here for at least the next 5 years. This is probably it for us. This is the last big contract. You've earned that right as well. So I don't think you're out of pocket for saying any of these things. And the Bengals understand that as well. It just feels like maybe there needs to be a little bit of a nudge in this entire situation of either sign or let him go blossom in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Beautiful lakes.
Or Green Bay.
Or New England.
He could do that for a first and a third, or first, third, and a fifth. They're open to trading him if the team will give up the draft capital that they want.
Good fishing out here in Indiana. AJ has a question for you, Trey.
Yeah, Trey, have you guys, over the course of this time, whenever, like you said, for 3 years, you've been trying to work on this, and you thought something would get done. Has there been an outline of a deal ever out there? Like, how close have you guys gotten? How far have you kicked that can down the road as far as what it may look like if you do get a contract from Cincinnati?
Well, like I said, my wife and I, like, you know, one of the primary apps I use on my phone is Zillow. So it's a good comparison, right? So 3 years ago, it was the Rashawn Gary and the Montez Sweats. You know, those guys were balling out. And then the next year it was the Brian Burns and the Josh Allen deals. And it was like, you know, they were balling. And now it's getting to the point where guys with 2 years left on their deals, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, guys with 1 year left on their deal, Danielle Hunter, myself, and TJ, and obviously Micah Parsons. He's an incredible athlete as well. Like, I just see that that's the street, right? We're on the D-end National Football League street. The market value for that is going up like it did for wide receiver last year. And where I fit in that road is all up to discretion and things like that. So we're willing to talk about those things, but with the market continuing to go up, I'm not going to apologize for that, because I've been basically asking for the same thing every year, to be solidified as a Cincinnati Bengal for life.
Yeah, and you say you don't want to talk about where you live on that particular street. You're at the end of the cul-de-sac, brother.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the cul-de-sac. That's the Sack King. That's the Sack.
I mean, if you want to be a Bengal for life, just take T. Higgins' kind of concept and take less money to remain a Bengal for life. I think you can. I think the Bengals would be really willing to accept you on a $23 million contract for the next 4 years, but you're going to have to take less money, and that's just kind of how it is. I mean, if you want to be a Bengal for life, you can be, but you have to take less money to be a Bengal for life. Oh, this situation is so crazy.
Sack King, but he's got that baby face.
That's right.
You know, he's got that baby face, and he's normally super quiet. We'll read X, though, it sounds like he will. Yeah, I will understand what's going on around.
My dad a little bit more than me, but yeah, he sends me all the things I need to be up to date with.
You said your dad?
Yeah, my dad dabbles. You know, I'm trying to get him off.
All right, so that's pretty much the most important stuff of it, guys. I mean, across the board, it is a crazy situation. It is. And hopefully we get something figured out, but I don't think we will. I think he'll play the last year on his contract, and then we'll franchise tag him a couple times, and that will kind of be the case moving forward. And we'll see how it all shapes out. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.